So in my last video, I told you a little bit about me, what I'm trying to do on here this year, and I said a lot. So hopefully this one will go a little bit better and I won't say quite so much. So this will probably be in part, so we'll call this one part 1. So maybe I'm replacing with so. And that's my dog. And there's my husband. So this is it. Like, this is what we're doing today. Okay. So we have been married for 10 years now. And we have tried to get pregnant, and it just is what it is. It just hasn't happened. About a year and a half ago now, roughly, whatever, we found out that I had a mass on my liver, and they weren't sure if it was cancerous or not, but it was pretty big. And so they wanted, and it had started to bleed. And so the whole thing was, if I would have gotten pregnant, it could have ruptured. I could have bled to death. I could have lost the baby. I could have, all these things could have happened. And so it's one of those things where you've been praying and you've been crying and you've been trying to trust the process. And then it's like this full circle moment where just everything is revealed to you. And it's like, this is what I've been saving you from. You have another purpose. We just heard the Lord clear. So I had surgery. They removed it. It had turned into cancer, but they got it all. So we're good with that. So when I went for my follow-ups after this, they really didn't know what caused this growth on my liver, but it is, sorry about the dog, it is commonly found in women who have used birth control, oral contraceptives, for a very long time. Now, when this was first found and the time that they decided to take it out, it had doubled in size, and I had not been on any birth control. So the doctors were a little stumped as to why I had a hepatic adenoma and had not been on birth control for 4 or 5 years. And so, anyway, what they decided to do was remove it, which we did, got everything, all that was good. But we realized that my body was naturally producing this overabundance of hormones. And so when I went for my follow-ups after my surgery, the doctor, this liver specialist, told me, because I told them we'd had trouble conceiving, but we hadn't sought out fertility treatment. And they were like, you absolutely cannot do that. Your body already makes a crazy amount of hormones, and if you do anything that increases your hormones, then you're going to grow another one of these on your liver. And we don't want that to happen for you. So that was one of those moments where it was like, okay, so if we don't have fertility treatment and it's not happened regularly, and now this is out and it still doesn't happen, where do we go from here? That's what has kind of led us to, we decided that we would like to adopt a baby. And in doing so, we decided that foster care was the best route for us. One of my best friends has gone through foster care, and she has foster kids. And I've been through this journey with her, and I think God brings people into our lives at the right time for all the things. And she was very encouraging of us to do this. And it gave me the courage to do it. And we've prayed about it. We've done all the things. We went through a 10-week class. We've been through the ringer when it comes to getting ready to be foster care parents, which, if it was my loved ones' children, I would want them to be put through the ringer before these kids come into their home. So it's completely understandable. But that's kind of what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the journey to foster care. I think a lot of people don't understand foster care, how things work, what typically just, there's so many things that I learned going through the classes that I don't think a lot of people really know. So the leading cause of children being put into foster care is neglect and abuse. And where we live, there is a very, very high drug usage percentage. So the majority of the kids in our area that are in foster care have parents that are on drugs, and that's why they're getting neglected and abused. So that makes it very difficult for any child of any age, because they're going through a lot of trauma before they get to your house. I've really, prayed a lot about it, because I didn't know what we were going to do as far as kids. Like, of course we want a baby because we've not been able to have a baby, but then I don't want to be the kind of person that's like, oh, I only want a puppy. Not saying that kids are puppies, but you know what I mean. But we help take care of my niece and nephew, and they are a huge part of our lives, and I want to ensure their safety and that they always have a home here if they ever need it or want it. So that's one reason why we've kind of decided, let's just do a baby and go from there. So currently we've gone through classes, we've gone through all the education, all the background checks, and we are just waiting for them to submit our license to the state so we can get licensed to be on the call list for a placement. So in our area, it does seem that there are a lot of, sorry, my phone is sliding. There are a lot of infants, just because the drug rate is so high in this area. So with that being said, there's all different kinds of situations where they would take an infant, and it could be voluntary. It could be they had drugs in their system. It could be they've already had, parental rights taken with other kids. It could be this is their first mess up. This could be their 10th mess up. For us, that's the most terrifying part. It's the most terrifying part of they're going to hand you this baby and it could be taken away. But the reality of the situation is, if you try to private adopt, the prices have gone up, if you do it domestically, which means within the United States. So if you try to private adopt through an agency, it's upwards of $40,000 to $60,000, and then you're on a waiting list for 4 or 5 years. So we knew that was not a route we wanted to go, and I really felt like being able to love a child who has gone through a lot already is kind of where my heart was. So that's what led us to foster care. We don't have a placement yet. We're waiting patiently. I've gotten a lot of things. I'm trying to be ready for that call when it happens. But there's no way to ever really be ready to have a baby. And any pregnant mama or mama who's had kids or whatever, however you have a kid, will tell you that. There's no way to get ready for it. So I'm just very blessed that we have 3 nieces and a nephew, and my youngest niece and nephew, we've been very, very, very involved since they were born. So I feel like we've got a good dose of what being parents are like, even though I know it's going to be completely different with a newborn baby having 24/7. It's a little terrifying to think about, but it's also really exciting. So that is one journey that I really want to document and just share with everyone, because I feel like people who have infertility issues are almost ashamed about it, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I just want to tell every woman, because I've felt these feelings. I know what it feels like, and every time you get your hopes up, you're tracking, you're trying, you're doing all the things, if you're taking your temperature and you're doing ovulation strips and you're standing on your head, you know what I mean? And then your cycle comes and it's devastating and it's heartbreaking, and you are still worthy of being a mother, and you're not broken, and you are absolutely 100% still a woman, even if your body is not allowing you to do that the way you think that should happen, or the way society tells us that should happen. I know, I feel you, I see you, I hear you. It's valid. And, you know, I can't speak on the male perspective of this, but I know that my husband's had a hard time with that. And it's been really hard because you look at each other and you get frustrated because you're like, it's your fault. No, it's your fault. No, it's our fault, or it's nobody's fault, or it's, you know, when you're frustrated and things aren't happening the way you want it to happen, you blame each other. But you have to work past that and learn that that's not the best way to go about it. And that is kind of an ebb and flow too. So I know how hard it is on couples. And I'm here to tell you that you're not alone, and everything you're feeling is normal. And God gives so many people children, and so many people He doesn't give children to. And I think that's because there are people like us who have the heart and the capacity to care for these children who weren't born into a good situation, and maybe their parents don't have it together. So I feel like we have so much love to give, and I'm really excited that we're going to be able to do that, and we have a good support system behind us, and just what this entails. So, you know, it's exciting. I know there's a roller coaster of emotions when it comes to being a foster parent, because you get very attached to the kids, and you feel like they're your children. And some people go into this knowing that ahead of time, that they know that the home they provide for children is not going to be a permanent home. And there's people who go into it like me, who immediately up front are like, I'm providing permanence. I want to adopt. I want a child, and I want them to know they're wanted and loved. Any child given the opportunity to be with their birth parent, no matter how difficult life was with them, that is the choice they're going to want to make. And I think our court system really tries to honor that and give that opportunity a chance for them.